Okay, so today we're going to learn about what does it mean when we speak about music. What do we mean in this statement? If we're going to learn about music, we first of all have to understand the origins of the words we're using. The very language we use will shape the way we think about music. So it's very important that we know where these words came from, how these ideas originated, and talk a little bit about how we even can come to understand these things. So it's incredibly complex questions and issues that we have to deal with. So we start with the most basic. If you haven't already heard it in literature or in popular culture, it always begins, go to your sources, go to the Greeks. In Western culture, the dominant culture here in California, where I'm speaking from, the foothold that it has here has many similarities with Greek culture. The first one of principle is music is incredibly important because for philosophy, for science, it gave an understanding of things unseen and forces that were beyond our normal senses of most principally sight, touch, smell, taste. Our senses through which we interact with the world, the ancients saw that in music it revealed to them proportions and order. So the universe was not just a random occurrence, but had finely tuned properties, and that these ideas could be conveyed numerically. So the story that I like to begin with, and the way we will begin to discuss music in this course, is through the understanding of the Greeks and storytelling. I'm going to tell a story. Greek culture is famous for its storytellers. My story will begin with a Greek, and that's Pythagoras. Pythagoras, or Pythagoras, let me get my pen. Pythagoras, or Pythagoras, however you want to pronounce that A, was a Greek philosopher who studied, among other things, numbers. And he looked and viewed at the world with numbers. Many of you, depending on where you are in your education, in elementary, middle, or high school, will eventually run into him with math. But for now, I'm going to tell you, the story that I'm going to tell you is about, I should make a point to note that this is also, the reason why I'm telling a story is because many of these things attributed to him we can't verify, but it's a great way of just communicating information. There were other players, certainly, but these are the events that we're going to discuss. So in our story, Pythagoras is walking through town, and he hears a sound. And if you can imagine it, a hammer is hitting an anvil, and he hears this clang. And then the blacksmith sets the hammer down and picks up another hammer that's lighter and strikes the metal again against the anvil. And again, this sharp clanging sound. With this final sense, our fifth sense, that of sound, Pythagoras hears something. He hears a difference in pitch. The first hammer was lower, it was bigger, but it was lower in pitch than the second hammer. The second hammer was smaller than the first, but the pitches were the same. They sounded the same, only one was higher and one was lower. I'm going to represent that with guitar, but one could very well do this on any number of instruments. So here represented on the guitar is going to be the pitch for the first hammer, the heavier hammer. When it hit the metal, this sound or this tone was produced. But then when Pythagoras noticed that when the blacksmith picked up the lighter hammer, the pitch was similar but higher in pitch. So see if you can't listen and tell the difference. Same. So now the blacksmith is striking it with the lighter hammer. Again, here's the heavier hammer. Here's the lighter hammer. Let's get that one better. What did he notice? He noticed that there was similarity in sound between the two hammers, as hopefully you heard. So what he did is he went up to the blacksmith and he inquired with him. He asked him, "Sir, what's the difference between those two hammers?" And the blacksmith answered, "Well, one is half the weight, or it weighs 2 times as much." Now, the reason why I was using a guitar, or in reality why you could use any string instrument. For example, if we were to take a string on, let's say, some kind of resonating body, here we will have our guitar. So here, or any string instrument, here we have our string. If we can look, we see that we can roughly estimate, just by sight alone, that somewhere here is going to be the halfway point. And so just like the blacksmith, when he clanged his hammers, bang, 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 with the two hammers, there was a difference in weight of a half. And this first interval that we will begin to study, we will call it, again owing to its Greek name, the octave. Octave. Again, let us look at the word. Oc. If we think and reason, what words have we ever heard that have that word oct in it, that prefix oct? There's one that we can think of right away, hopefully, or at least for me, the octopus. Because an octopus has 8 arms. Another example is something that maybe some of you have seen driving with your parents, and you come to this. Now this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, again, 8 sides. And this is an octagon. So we have this word, our new word that we're going to begin to discuss, which is the octave.